Hi, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kevin Keller, the CEO of CFP Board. Thank you for joining us today for CFP Board's Business Update webinar. During today's presentation, we'll have updates on the latest Board of Directors meeting. We'll share updates on significant achievements from 2018 and look ahead to 2019 and the plans for progress in each of the strategic priorities for CFP Board. We refer to them as the 4 A's: awareness, access, accountability, and authority. We'll take a look at our current public awareness campaign advertising and our plans as we move forward to the October effective date of the new Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct. And we'll devote the second half of the webinar to answering your questions. So please contribute those questions and your thoughts to us during today's program. Before we get into the presentation, a few housekeeping items. If you run into issues with the audio for this presentation, or if it seems like the slides are out of sync, you'll want to refresh your webinar console. There is a Q&A function on your screen that you can use to submit questions to us at any time during the program. We'll address as many questions as possible during the Q&A session at the end of the program. And if we don't get to your question today during our broadcast, CFP Board will follow up with you to provide an answer. With me here today are 2 accomplished CFP professionals: Susan John, who is the 2019 Chair of the Board of Directors, and Jack Brode, who is 2019's Chair-elect. Jack will ascend to the Chair of the Board to follow Susan in 2020. So thank you all for joining us. Today we are broadcasting from, well, it's known as Arlington, Virginia. Some people call it Crystal City. With the Amazon HQ2 moving in, it'll soon be known as National Landing. We're right across the road from National Airport. So Susan, why don't you kick us off and give us some updates on the board meeting?
Thank you, Kevin. The Board of Directors holds 3 regular in-person business meetings each year, and this week's meeting was our first business meeting of 2019. This was the first board meeting for our 4 newest directors whose 4-year terms began on January 1st, and we have a great group of new directors this year. Jerron Green, CFP, is a professional who is currently the Senior Vice President and Regional Manager for the Southern Region at Wells Fargo Advisors. Camila McDonough, CFP, is a professional who was previously at Dimensional Fund Advisors and before that at Vanguard. Latha Ramshad, PhD, is the Executive Vice Chancellor and Provost at the University of Missouri and previously served at the University of Houston, where she served as Dean of the C.T. Bauer College of Business, and Latha is a public member of CFP Board. Natalie Wolfson is the Chief Solutions Officer at AssetMark and previously served as Head of Marketing and Product Development for First Eagle Investment Management, an investment management company. We're very happy to have these talented individuals join us on the board after a rigorous vetting and sorting of 133 candidates for board chairs for 2019.
Susan, that's a good point there. We should mention we'll be having a call for candidates. Jack will be chair of the nominating committee, and that's coming up probably about April. So be watching if you have an interest in serving on the chair. Jack will be posting the details about how to apply and what we're looking for on the website.
Thanks, Kevin. We also had some special guests at this week's meeting. We invited the volunteer leaders and CEOs from FPA and NAPA to join us for a discussion at this week's meeting. All of us at CFP Board appreciate our relationships with both FPA and NAPA. To ensure that we have a strong and relevant profession, it's important to have our organizations working closely together. We work closely with FPA and NAPA in a variety of ways, including through our Financial Planning Coalition, which has been a leading advocate for the delivery of financial advice under a fiduciary standard. All of us at CFP Board encourage all CFP professionals to consider joining FPA and NAPFA, which are the financial planning profession's leading membership organizations. We also had another special guest this week, Mark Tibergien, who's well known to many of us, currently CEO of Advisor Solutions at Bank New York Mellon Pershing. Presented through his work with the Center for Financial Planning a new work plan for various career tracks to help stimulate advisors in understanding the importance of succession planning. We're very excited to have Mark to make this incredible contribution, and it will soon be available to all of us through the Center for Financial Planning.
Hey, Susan, one of the things we should let folks know, you talked about how important it is that we work closely together. I want folks to know Lauren Shadle at FPA and Jeff Brown at NAPFA, we work closely together, and we have a new agreement where every new CFP professional, as they're finishing their certification process, is offered a special deal, a special offer to join one of the two membership associations. And the early indications from both are that there are a number of new members. We at CFP Board are helping them out with their growth.
And they're very appreciative of that fact. The first event, the Academic Research Colloquium for Financial Planning and Related Disciplines, is hosted by CFP Board Center for Financial Planning in cooperation with Financial Planning Standards Council of Canada and the International Financial Planning Standards Board. This meeting provides a showcase for research in financial planning and other disciplines that directly or indirectly relate to the financial planning body of knowledge or practice. It's a forum for researchers, practitioners, graduate students, and practitioners to gather together, share, and learn from rigorous and relevant research. The first colloquium was held in February 2017, and that inaugural event brought together about 200 academics and researchers. The paper acceptance rate for that first event was only 30%, establishing the colloquium from the start as a very competitive venue for presenting research. This year's colloquium wrapped up yesterday, and it was another great success. For the first time, the colloquium featured sessions designed specifically for practicing CFP professionals. These sessions focused on exploring the implications of research to financial planning practice. Each session was led by scholar practitioners who have extensive financial planning practice experience and could apply that experience to help interpret the new research. I can tell you as a non-academic, I often need help in interpreting the research. We expect future colloquiums will include a similar practitioner track, and we encourage you to consider joining us at next year's event. The second event this week is the CFP Board Registered Programs Conference. This annual conference is focused on the faculty and program directors from institutions across the country that deliver professional financial planning education and assist individuals in pursuing CFP certification. CFP Board partners with over 330 programs at more than 200 regionally accredited colleges and universities. The conference brings together our registered program directors and faculty. It also provides opportunities for our education partners to connect with firms to share best practices for strengthening the talent pipeline. This year, we're excited to expand the conference with a student track, and over 80 students attended. A student track of sessions explored topics such as the path to CFP certification, pro bono financial planning, and trending issues in financial planning. Students were able to gain information and make connections that will help them on their journey towards CFP certification. We're so grateful to our registered programs for their support of financial planning education. Their programs satisfy requirements for CFP certification, but just as importantly, They're a foundation of the financial planning profession. The Academic Research Colloquium and the CFP Board Registered Programs Conference are important initiatives that advance CFP Board's strategic priorities. This year, we continue to focus CFP Board's work on our 4 strategic priorities of the refreshed strategic plan the Board adopted in 2016. We call the plan our 4 A's, and it's anticipated to take us through 2021. All of CFP Board's operations are working to advance the 4 strategic priorities you see here in the center: awareness, access, authority, and accountability. Each strategic priority is connected to CFP Board's mission and vision. We're now entering our 3rd year of working toward our 4A priorities, and today we'll share some highlights of our accomplishments during 2018 and what's to come for 2019. We accomplish our strategic priority of accountability by holding CFP professionals to rigorous standards and by advocating for fiduciary advice and recognition of financial planning as a profession and effective regulation of financial planners. Last March, we announced the adoption of our new Code of Ethics and Standards of Conduct, which takes effect in October 2019. Among other important changes, the new Code and Standards extends the application of a CFP's professional's fiduciary duty to all financial advice. It's important that all of our CFP professionals have an accurate and practical understanding of their obligations under the new Code and Standards. So CFP Board is undertaking a thorough process to educate and inform CFP professionals on the new Code and Standards. To help us do that, we established a Standards Resource Commission that is working on developing new guidance and compliance resources. They will be helping create updated versions of our sample client agreements and disclosure statements, as well as developing entirely new materials. And while the Standards Resource Commission continues its work, staff has already prepared a range of guidance materials on the new Code and Standards. Last fall, we started a new series of short Minute with the Standards videos that cover different elements of the new Code and Standards. We know people learn in different ways, so we are providing information about the new Code and Standards in different formats and in easy-to-digest bites or sizes. The full set of 12 videos will be available well before the October effective date of the new Code and Standards. So look for updates on the video series in the monthly CFP Board report, the newsletter, and access a full series from our website at cfp.net/code.
Susan, Jack, we should, when we're talking about guidance, this is so important that yes, the standards, the board approved them last March, but they specifically wanted to make sure there was plenty of time. And so while there's been information out, the board got an early peek at the next piece of guidance coming out, and that's the roadmap, which it boils the standards down. What was it, 9 pages, I think, total of what the standards mean, what an individual and a firm needs to do. So I don't know, did you have any reactions to the first, to that document?
I thought it was really well presented, and it broke down the standards into easily understandable pieces. And I understand that behind each of those individual parts, there is more.
There was more in the appendix,
material, right? Yeah. That could be had. We want all CFP professionals to read, understand, and comply with the new Code and Standards by the October 2019 effective date. So we're going to continue our focus on providing this information over the next coming months. Over the past several months, we've invited CFP professionals to take online surveys that included some questions about their awareness of the new codes and standards. And we're pleased to see strong increases in the number of CFP professionals who are aware and who have read the document. Fully 99% of respondents to the January survey indicated that they were aware of the new code and standards. And we found that a strong majority of CFP professionals have read the document, with a 15 percentage point increase between June and January. New guidance materials are in development and, as we've discussed previously, will be released on an ongoing basis. The new code and standards are important to CFP Board, the profession, and to the public. Jack, why don't you share with us some updates on our work to grow public awareness of CFP certification?
Thank you, Susan. Our strategic priority of awareness is focused on growing CFP certification as the recognized standard for competent and ethical financial planners. CFP Board's public awareness campaign is designed to support and enhance the recognition and value of the CFP marks. Since the original campaign launched in April of 2011, our public awareness campaign has been a great success. Last year, the campaign relaunched with new advertising creative and a media plan that generated more than 1.1 billion impressions. With the new campaign, our approach is to persuade with facts and, importantly, motivate with emotion. The process involved the development of the new brand promise. This is not something that consumers would see or hear, but it is a statement that guides how and what consumers hear. On the left of this slide is the old brand promise. As you can see, it's very inward-focused and rational. On the right-hand side is the new brand promise, informed by our new research. This is more emotional, more focused on benefits, and more consumer-facing. We call the current campaign, "It's All Possible with a CFP Professional." Our focus group research found the campaign motivated consumers to partner with a CFP professional for the following: holistic thinking that incorporates all aspects of finance, a roadmap per se, personalized, comprehensive, and flexible plans, and plans that are created in their best interest. The campaign brings these benefits to life by highlighting personal stories. The ads tell the stories of different people at different points in their financial lives. They emphasize the value of having a personal financial plan and show a personal relationship with a CFP professional who is a partner in the process. Throughout the campaign, the CFP certification brand is highlighted to increase recall and awareness. The advertising is back on the air now through mid-April. You'll be seeing the same ads that were introduced last year, as well as some new 15-second versions of the TV ads, which allows for greater frequency. We're also excited about the addition of a new ad concept focused on a niche segment of our target market, the LGBT community. Why don't we take a quick look at the 3 30-second TV ads?
So much of our future is ahead of us. It's all about the big picture. With Miguel, our certified financial planner professional, we looked at business insurance, our mortgage, even our plans to adopt.
It's not about this fund or that fund. It's about us.
Welcome to our complete freedom plan.
It's all possible with a CFP professional.
Find your certified financial planner professional at letsmakeaplan.org.
Making my dreams a reality takes more than just investment advice. From insurance to savings to retirement, it takes someone with experience and knowledge who can help me build a complete plan. Brian, my certified financial planner professional, is committed to working in my best interest. I call it my comfortable future plan, and it's all possible with a CFP professional.
Find your certified financial planner professional at letsmakeaplan.org.
We've saved our money, and now we get to spend it our way.
But we worry if we have enough to last.
Ellen, our certified financial planner professional, helps us manage our cash flow and plan for the unexpected.
Her experience and training gave us the courage to go for it. It's our confident forever plan.
And it's all possible with a CFP professional.
Find your certified financial planner professional at letsmakeaplan.org.
We're very pleased with the reception of the new campaign. You'll see the ads on national cable television channels as well as in print, online, on social media, and on radio. And in addition to the paid advertising, we have active earned media outreach to extend the campaign's reach. We want all of you to consider ways you can help us promote the campaign in your own communities. From our website, you can access the following: links to TV spots on CFP Board's YouTube channel, banner ads for use on personal websites, print ad PDFs, sample social media posts, customizable radio announcements. If you're interested in learning more about the campaign's development, you'll also find a recording of the webinar we hosted last August to premiere the new ads. And also keep an eye out for additional materials as we're working on podcasts and webinars focused on helping CFP professionals with communications and marketing. We want your clients and your prospective clients to connect you with the great messages they're seeing in the campaign advertising. One way you can help clients make that connection is by using a new tool that rolled out last month. All CFP professionals now have access to a secure digital certificate. The digital certificate looks like the one you have hanging in your office, but this allows you to embed it on your website, add it to your LinkedIn profile, or include it in your email signature. The system we're using is a secure one that has been used by many other certificate granting organizations. When embedded, people will be able to click on your digital certificate and go to a site that confirms you currently hold CFP certification. You can access this digital certificate through your online CFP Board account, along with the instructions for using it on different platforms. The digital certificate makes it easier for CFP professionals to share their qualifications with peers, clients, and prospects. It's also a tool consumers can use to verify their CFP professional certification and supports our mission of providing competent and ethical financial planning advice. We hope you'll all find it a helpful way to ensure your clients and potential clients know that you're a CFP professional. Shifting a bit here to another of our strategic priorities is expanding access to competent and ethical financial planning by increasing the number and diversity of CFP professionals. The chart here shows the steady growth in the number of CFP professionals over the last dozen or so years. Since 2007, when Kevin joined CFP Board as CEO, the number has increased by more than 54%. We are now exceeding 83,000 CFP professionals at the end of 2018. And the growth is even more noteworthy if you look at it from the perspective of the broader population of financial advisors. 1 of 4 financial advisors in the United States now holds the CFP certification based on Cerulli data. Kevin, why don't you share with us some of the other recent trends we've seen in support of the access priority?
Thanks, Jack. And, maybe something before one of the concerns that I hear on the road, and you may have heard this, Susan and Jack, as well, is that when we're talking about growing, there's always the perception, or frequently there's a perception, that we're lowering the standards. And yet the board has been very clear in its direction to me and the staff. Not only are we lowering the standards, we've raised the standards over the last dozen years as well, with the requirement of having a college degree, with having the capstone course, with adding the fiduciary standard in 2008, all along the way. But I maybe just a comment from the board's perspective about the standards.
Yeah, in my 2 years of experience now on the board of directors, this is an ongoing discussion that the board speaks with Kevin and his senior leadership team about. It's not growth for the sake of growth. It's growth at at the same time that we're raising the standards, as Kevin mentioned. Our new Code of Ethics and Standards will roll out in October. We're raising the educational rigor and experience around obtaining certification. So it's something that is very top of mind and front and center for the Board of Directors.
And we sometimes get questions from people who worry that the exam standard is not as high as it was previously.
I think we have one of those coming up.
And perhaps I'll save my response.
All right, there you go. All right. Well, look, another of our strategic priorities is access. And it's really providing access to competent and ethical financial planners to the public at large. As we think about this, during 2018, we reached a milestone. We crossed 83,000, and another record number for the number of females at 19,000, almost 250. Overall, last year, we grew at 4% for the number of new CFP professionals. But one of the areas that I'm particularly proud of is the number of African American and Latina CFP professionals increased by double that rate, or 8%. We celebrated last year the 5-year anniversary of the CFP Board Career Center. When I talk to people about this, we are making a market, if you will, for certified financial planners. We have over 1,700 employers posting jobs, and there are 22,000 job seekers who are registered with the Career Center. Some of them are searchable resumes, so if you have a job or you're looking for a position, and others are people who what I call passive lookers. They don't want their boss maybe or their firm to know that they're looking for a job, but they're just kind of watching what's going on. One of the other areas that we're working on to help people through the certification process is our candidate forum. We have over 64,000 people who receive the daily email on the candidate forum, and again, literally hundreds of discussion threads going on. We've seen that candidates who are engaged with others are more motivated, and interestingly, we've found that those who are posting actively on the candidate forum actually have a higher pass rate than those who don't. Now, I can't say it's causation, but certainly those who are engaged and are participating are doing better. The CFP Board Mentor Program is helping connect candidates with CFP professionals who can share their experience with achieving CFP certification. And the program grew significantly over the last year. There are now nearly 1,400 mentors working with more than 2,000 mentees. I encourage all of you to consider signing up to be a mentor. Mentoring is really a great way to give back to the profession. Mentors can serve as guides, offering practical advice based on their experience taking the CFP exam and pursuing careers in financial planning. And the number of mentors, again, is growing, but we always need more. We see engagements between mentors and mentees lasting anywhere from a few weeks up to 6 months, and we've even heard of ongoing relationships longer than that. Mentoring relationships can be productive even if they're comprised of only a few conversations. So again, please consider signing up and helping us support the profession's next generation of financial planners. Our fourth strategic priority is serving as the respected authority for the profession by setting standards, certifying financial planners, and by advancing the Center for Financial Planning. We launched the center back in 2015, and since then, the center has actively pursued its mission to create a more diverse and more sustainable financial planning profession. We focus in three areas for the center: workforce development, diversity, as well as the academic home or body of knowledge. Coming out of this week's academic research colloquium, I think all of us here are excited about the center's work on building an academic home and body of knowledge. The issue is we have a dire shortage of faculty to teach and lead our education programs. Susan, you mentioned that we have over 200 colleges and universities. What we didn't say, we have about 35 to 40 more programs in development that are coming online. And we're going to need faculty to lead these programs who can pursue tenure and promotion within financial planning. And that's the real idea behind the academic home. A big part of that is the financial planning review. We launched that in 2018, and it continues to serve, and our goal is that it becomes a respected academic journal. We refer to it as an independent, double-blind, peer-reviewed journal for academics, again, to receive the recognition they need for promotion. It's currently available on the Wiley Online Library and the center's website. Later this year, the center will launch the new Body of Knowledge website. We're calling it the Financial Planning Knowledge Center. We envision this as the meeting place for the profession where theory and practice can come together and, again, help advance the profession. Well, we shared a lot this afternoon, and we've got questions that we want to get to. We have about 25 minutes left, and we've had questions come in. And so I think it's probably best that we go to those now. Let's start out. Patrice asks, how does the CFP become as ubiquitous as the CPA or now the CFA designation? So I think I'll take that unless you do, Jack or Susan. I'll go ahead and take that question. That's a question that clearly we're working to be as ubiquitous as the CPA. But we survey as part of the public awareness campaign, and when it comes to being seen as the provider of financial advice and the total awareness of CFP certification, again, not for accounting or tax preparation, but financial advice, our total awareness is up there very close to the CPA. On the CFA side, our awareness of CFP certification for, again, in the context of providing advice, is well above the CFA. Now, the CFA, if you're going to be a portfolio manager or if you're going to work for a hedge fund or a mutual fund, they own that space, and increasingly, I think they're looking to get into the advice business, but our awareness is significantly more.
Kevin, this is Jack. I might also tie this question back to your comments on the registered programs and how important it is to develop faculty in the financial planning programs at colleges and universities. If you think about it, students who are graduating from high school know that they can pursue accounting as a profession.
Right.
They can major in accounting and get an undergraduate degree. They sit for the CPA exam, and there are many firms that offer entry pathways into the profession. So that's why the continued development of these, particularly the baccalaureate programs, undergrad, graduate, PhD programs, is so very important to developing the profession and making the CFP, as the question states, as ubiquitous as the CPA.
Indeed, Jack, and I might go one step further, and I know this is sometimes a controversial position, but I'll go there. I think the future of the profession as we go forward and become more ubiquitous is having CFP programs within the colleges of business. Now, we have a number of programs that are in family and consumer sciences. We have ag econ programs. Those are valuable and important programs, and we're doing nothing at all to change that. But as we pursue new programs, we want to be there where the accountants are declaring their major and where finance majors are declaring their major.
You know, I'd go even one step further. Kevin,
I'll see you that and raise it to
those of us who've been in the profession for a long time really have an obligation, in my opinion, to help new people enter the profession, and the work that Mark Tabergian is doing with the center and helping develop career paths. I think all of us need to become better employers and embrace those tools to ensure succession and ongoing CFP participation.
I think you're absolutely right. Nancy writes, having heard in the past that the exam would be made shorter and easier. Nancy, I disagree, but hang on one second. Nancy said, having heard that it'll be made shorter and easier is not reassuring about the quality of the brand going forward. Assure me that less stringent examination can still equate to the highest trained professionals in our field. Susan, we were talking about Nancy's question. Why don't you take that one?
Yeah, I think the people that took the new shorter but not necessarily easier exam in November would not agree with you, Nancy. The exam is just as difficult as it was previously. In fact, perhaps even harder. We have eliminated some of the fluffier questions.
The easier questions.
And I think that the pass rate tells us that it was a little bit more difficult this time than it was previously. So I don't think that that's any concern whatsoever. We want to make sure that our certificate holders have the education that they need to do the job.
You know, and the other thing that's important to realize, we only have one bucket of exam questions. And so and I think what Nancy's talking about, for those of you who may not know, we went from a paper-based exam that you took that was a day and a half to a computer-based exam. The questions come out of the same bucket. So, you know, I'm very sensitive to the point that you make about the quality of the brand going forward. The board heard about a case that appeared before our disciplinary board yesterday, and essentially somebody was cheating on the exam, and we saw pictures of the person sliding paper up their sleeve. There. So the computer-based exam, not only does it give us the same rigor, but it gives us a way to monitor and maintain the integrity of the exam even more so than sitting in a big open room. Jonathan asked, are there any plans to share exam results of testers at a company through a secure portal similar to the CFP report received? I think Jonathan must work for a big firm and wants to know who among his employees is passing.
Most likely, I'll take that, Kevin. The short answer is no, Jonathan. The CFP board certifies individuals, not firms or organizations, so the exam results will continue to only be shared at the individual level.
You know, but one of the things we're working on with our business process modernization effort within CFP Board is to have a firm's portal, but it's more to help them manage when are the renewal dates, you know, who still needs CE, and I think that's where we can be helpful to firms, but that's coming on stream in the next 6 to 9 months. Adam asks, when will the new procedural rules appear on the CFP examination? So, Susan, if you'll take that.
Well, that's a big question. CFP Board issued a request for comments on the proposed procedural rules last November, and we had a public comment period that ended just recently on January 29th. And CFP Board has been reviewing the feedback that we received, and we expect to announce next steps for the proposal later this year. On our website, you can read about the proposal and look at the comments that we received by visiting cfp.net/proposed rules. We haven't adopted the new rules yet, so we've not addressed any possible time frames for exam coverage. After the new rules are adopted, we'll need to provide some time to update the exam questions and prepare exam candidates for the changes. We'll likely follow a similar process to the one we used for the new code and standards. For example, the new code and standards was released last March, takes effect this October, and will first officially be tested on the November exam.
Susan, I might even go just a little bit further. If depending on how the process goes, if the new procedural rules become effective October 1st as well, right? And that, if we can sync those up, that would be the ideal. It would likely be November, but again, we need to see how the process goes because the board has not yet adopted those. Warren asks how the new code and standards guideline or code and standards have been received. And, Warren, I'll take that question. There have been people who are very happy with the new code and standards, and there are others who, who still have questions about how they're going to implement them. But let me just say, we talked about one of the earlier questions was about the brand value or the quality of the brand going forward. Right now on the FINRA website, there are over 200 designations, certifications. 103 of them start with the letter C, for goodness sake. And they all have a code of standards. But what makes CFP special? What makes CFP respected by the consumer financial press, by policymakers, and when we survey CFP professionals, when we survey you, what you tell us is important, that you want us to enforce our standards. So if we have standards and don't enforce them, or we don't have meaningful standards, the brand of CFP would be much less valuable than it is. And one of the things that both the board and I know at the staff level we're focused on is making making CFP more valuable to the people who hold it. Any feedback, comments, Susan? Anything else you'd add?
I think you said it all.
All right. Adrian asks, going forward, which firms are best positioned to provide advisors and their clients with the best environment for the financial planning process?
I would love to take that.
I think that's one of those questions, like, which of your children do you like the best?
Our board is diversified in many respects, and we have representatives from all business models on the board and from firms large and small. And, the whole financial services world is moving away from transactions and more towards advice. And I think under our fiduciary standards, every firm can be positioned to provide advice in the best interest of their clients at a fiduciary level, and I'm excited about the future for consumers.
One of the things in Adrian's question, which firms are best positioned to provide advisors and their clients, one of the things that we're working on as we work with students is putting a guide together to help students understand the different, not only career paths, but more importantly, what to expect in different types of business models as well. And so that is coming out from the Center for Financial Planning in late 2019 or early 2020.
Well, and even as we sit here, business models are changing.
They keep changing, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Jonathan asks, what have been the best practices the CFP board has noticed of companies supporting those in pursuit of the designation with the experience requirement? a little unclear. Will there be any resources such as webinars to assist beyond what's online? So I think Jonathan's question generally goes to the experience requirement, and it's probably one of the most, it's probably the least understood of the requirements that we have. You know, for the education, either you have it or you don't. For the exam, either you pass it or you don't. But the experience, you know, is somewhat subjective. So, Jonathan, you reference online. I would encourage you to take a look again online, because I think we've got great resources there, and that's at cfp.net/experience. But if you have specific questions, John Loper, CFP, is our Managing Director of Professional Practice. And John would be more than happy to visit with you to address any questions that you have, or if you're within a firm environment and you want to understand, you know, whether a specific position or job title qualifies, then please reach out to John. You can reach him at the CFP Board office, and our contact information is available on the CFP Board website.
You know, Kevin, this brings up another great opportunity for CFP professionals to work through the center with the programs, with the registered programs, to develop some additional career track and internship programs that will help students get the experience that they need.
Absolutely. Jeff writes, it seems like CFP Board is here's the SRO question. Jack, I'll come to you. Seems like we're trying to become an SRO. Why is a certifying body attempting to expand its role and authority in the process usurp the authority legally given to the SEC and FINRA, not to mention to the broker-dealer? Or, Jeff wonders, am I just not looking at it the right way?
Yeah, no, Jeff, we appreciate the question. It comes up sometimes, but I'll remind you that the CFP Board exists to benefit the public. Accordingly, all of our focus here at CFP Board is on certifying professionals. It's on setting meaningful standards, as has been alluded to earlier, and it's on enforcing those standards to the best extent we can. So, you know, it's not enough to just put out standards if there's not some capability and some will to enforce them. And therefore, our focus has been, and it will continue to be, on those three elements.
Absolutely. Rita asks, how can I get information about teaching for, she says, the college, I assume, or getting certified to do so. So it sounds like Rita wants to become an adjunct faculty member and teach financial planning.
Kevin, let me take that. Coincidentally, Rita, I'm happy to say to you and others who might have interest, the Center for Financial Planning at the CFP Board and Columbia University School, it's the School of Professional Studies at Columbia, have put together a teaching seminar especially designed for CFP professionals hoping to begin a full or part-time career teaching in a CFP Board registered program. So this year I know we'll have two offerings of the three-day seminar, both on the Columbia University campus in New York, I should note. One will be held in early May, from May 5th to May 7th, and the other on August 18th to the 20th. And I would encourage you and anybody else interested to find more information from the events calendar on our website.
Great. Thanks, Jack. Another question that comes up frequently is about CFP professionals who are nearing retirement. The first one is from Linda. She asks, are there plans to have a retired status for CFP professionals? And so Why don't you take that, Susan?
This is a question that's come up to the board a number of times, and I'm very happy to tell you, Linda, that this January we made available the CFP Board Emeritus status to recognize the many contributions and long careers of CFP professionals who are not actively practicing financial planning and yet want to stay connected with CFP Board and with the financial planning profession, including through pro bono work. So to be eligible, individuals must have held their CFP certification for a cumulative time period of 25 years or more. And additionally, those wishing to gain CFP Board Emeritus status will need to meet a few other requirements, which are the CFP certification itself must be relinquished and the mark can no longer be used. Individuals must attest they are no longer practicing financial planning or engaging in any financial services activities. There is a CFP Board Emeritus Ethics Declaration to complete, and there's an annual $95 fee. Ben Coombs, who was one of the first people in the world to hold the CFP certification, having earned it in 1973, had been a longtime advocate for such a program. I'm very pleased to have Ben become our first CFP Board Emeritus holder.
Thank you, Susan. And I should mention, Rosa asked about, she wanted to continue to do pro bono work. And you do not need to be a CFP professional. And if you're a CFP Board Emeritus status person, you can maintain or you can continue to do pro bono work.
And you can also teach.
The other thing I would say is that, again, we have the last time I checked, I think we have over 200 now CFP Board alumni status folks since the first of the year, so I'm pleased with that.
What?
I think we have a final question, and then we'll wrap things up. Jason writes, I'm a new CFP professional, and I'm very interested in eventually developing into leadership roles for the membership organizations. What can I do now to start preparing myself to get involved? Jack, do you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. First off, Jason, congratulations on becoming a CFP professional.
Congratulations.
Joining this august community. I'd start by saying clearly you want to look at the profession's membership associations such as FPA and NAPFA. There are lots of leadership opportunities at the local chapter level. There are study groups where you could take on broader responsibility as time goes by. I'd also suggest that leadership competencies are very transferable, so it would probably make sense to seek out leadership experience outside of the financial planning profession in different capacities that you'll be able to leverage within the profession in the future.
Great, thank you. Well, we're just about out of time. Susan, parting words from Arlington, Virginia from you?
I'd like to thank the CFP professional community for its support of CFP Board and CFP certification. This is an important year for CFP certification. We've accomplished a great deal during recent years, and we're so excited about the momentum we have going into 2019. Our new code and standards are important to the profession and to the public, and we look forward to continuing our work to educate stakeholders on the new code and standards as we move close to the October effective date. Please take advantage of the great resources that are available on the new code and standards, and all of us at CFP Board are committed to helping CFP professionals and the public understand and deliver on our fiduciary promise to the public.
I have to second Susan's thanks to the CFP professional community and the profession. You've heard today about several initiatives that are made possible only with the involvement of our CFP professionals and other stakeholders. CFP Board has many, many volunteer opportunities that provide meaningful and rewarding ways to give back to the profession. I have to say, one of the things that's been really eye-opening to me in my 2 years' experience here on the Board of Directors, I didn't have a full appreciation for not just the quantity of volunteer support, but the quality has just blown me away. It's just outstanding, the passion and the people who are all contributing to help develop this profession further. So there's many different examples. I'll provide a few. Each year there are many opportunities to contribute to the development of the CFP exam itself through exam writing workshops. There are opportunities to support CFP Board's enforcement of the ethics and practice standards through service as a hearing panel volunteer with the Disciplinary and Ethics Commission. I think Kevin mentioned earlier, our mentor program is a very important way you can support the next generation of CFP professionals. So I encourage you all to consider getting involved in that work during the coming year.
I share Susan and Jack's appreciation for the support of the CFP professional community. And I thank both Susan and Jack and the entire board for their leadership, their commitment, and their willingness to speak with such clarity about the goals and objectives that are being delegated for the staff to work on for the day-to-day. We have more than 75 staff people in and around the Washington area who are working every day to deliver on the mission of granting the certification, upholding it as the recognized symbol. And I wish that all of our CFP volunteer community would have the opportunity to meet the staff because they are dedicated, they're hardworking, and they believe in the work of the CFP community. In closing, I'd like to thank you for joining us for today's webinar. A recording of this presentation will be posted to CFP Board's website within the week, and CFP Board will follow up individually with those who ask questions we did not get to during this broadcast. Once again, I'm Kevin Keller, along with Susan, John, and Jack Grove from Arlington, Virginia, saying so long and farewell.